Hey there, this is Mr. Icarus, and welcome to yet another episode of Doom Mod Madness. This time round, we're checking out something a little bit different, a little bit special. This is in fact a map that has been recently released by the one, the only, John Romero. And if you have no idea who John Romero is, then you should probably leave. You should just get out of my sight, because you disgust me. John Romero is one of the brilliant minds behind the original Doom. And this right here is in fact a remake of one of those original maps from Doom 1. This is Phobos Anomaly, also known as Episode 1 Mission 8. This is the last in the campaign, normally, and it's where you face two Hell Barons at the end in a big old boss battle. And as you can probably see here, there's a bit more going on than just a boss battle against two Hell Barons here. This place is absolutely chock full of Hellspawn. In fact, it's borderline unrecognizable compared to the original Phobos Anomaly. And to be perfectly honest, I'm more than happy to have it this way, because I prefer this. It's a much bigger challenge. There's a lot more interesting stuff going on. It's not just you walking around and hoovering up ammo in anticipation of a boss fight. This feels like you have to earn that boss fight. You have to get through everything else first before you're granted the right to face down the Barons. You know what it is, really? This actually feels like a final stage, if you know what I mean. It feels like the culmination of the entire episode, whereas in its original form, it just felt a little meh. I guess there's some bosses now, but here I feel like I'm putting into practice all the stuff that's come before. I'm having to deal with nukage, I'm having to make sure I use my rad suits intelligently, because if you pick up those rad suits too early, the effect will wear off and you'll end up doing a crap ton of damage to yourself while wading around these green nukage-filled areas. There are a ton of secrets as well to discover. If I'm not mistaken, I think there's 10 secrets hidden around this level. I've not discovered them all, I just know a few useful ones. And you know what, I'll just be happy to get through this stage in one piece, because as I've said before, this is much more of a challenge than Phobos Anomaly in its original form. Also, you might want to disable your jump key here as well, or just avoid using it outright, because this map was designed with old school sensibilities, and as a result, being able to jump breaks things. Like this, for example. You just use your momentum to bridge that gap, but if you're using the jump key, you could just hop up by jumping in general, and that's not how Doom was originally designed, so try and avoid using that if possible. Also, I'd heavily recommend playing this in its vanilla form before you start adding too many gameplay changing mods on top of it, just to get a feel for what it's supposed to actually be like. I'm actually using Smooth Doom here, which is the only one I'd really advocate, considering it doesn't really change anything gameplay-wise. It just adds a little bit of extra smoothness to weapon animations and enemy deaths, which is exactly what you want it to be. Just improves the experience, doesn't really change anything about the core of it. But yes, we're gonna have to try and get over there for the yellow key, and I've forgotten the button. Yep. I need to go up top and press this button around the corner to raise some steps, because we're going to use Doom Guy's momentum again to bridge this gap. I screwed it up. Okay, we're taking nukage damage. We're going to have to go back up the lift here. That wasn't supposed to happen. That was me being completely inept, but I'm sure we can recover this one way or another. Cool, we finally got our hands on the yellow keycard, so now we can just scooch back around over these platforms here to the yellow keycard door, and then deal with whatever abominations await us behind it. Of which there will undoubtedly be many. Yep, that's a fair few. I'm actually playing this on Hurt Me Plenty difficulty as well. Something that I always kind of strive to do, especially when checking out new gameplay mods or game modes for Doom, because I regard Hurt Me Plenty as normal difficulty. And for this particular map, considering that John Romero is behind it, I'm very interested to see how his enemy placement works. I find that enemy placement when building my own Doom maps is a little bit of a dark art. I'm never entirely sure how many I should be placing and in what combination, so this feels like being able to get a little bit of insight into the mind of a professional, let's say. And you can't get much more professional than John Romero when it comes to Doom, to be perfectly honest. So for me, playing this is kind of a learning experience, especially with regards to level design itself as well. I'm a big fan of self-contained areas that loop back over themselves, that have you approach them from different elevations, different angles, in order to reach the exit or the objective. And Romero is really good at taking advantage of that. Also, the red stuff on the floor, this is something that I wanted to... Cheeky git. Something that I wanted to talk about earlier, but this is allegedly some kind of corruption coming from the Phobos Anomaly itself. It'll actually damage you 5 points of health at a time if you're unfortunate enough to step over it. But I think that's a nice little stylistic touch that also directly affects the gameplay itself. I love little areas like these where you can just let rip with the chain gun. I can only imagine how much fun this would be if I have the gore mods added to this. I was trying to get Ketchup to work with Smooth Doom as well, because it's not something that expressly affects the way the game plays in any way, shape or form, but those two mods together don't really like to cooperate all that much. So Smooth Doom on its own it is, unfortunately, but then again, I'll have ample opportunity in future to try slightly, let's say, messier mods with this particular map. But until then, we're going to try and forge ahead through here. And this, I like the way this loops around. All these little alcoves that we've been unlocking in this area so far eventually loop back up to here and then cross back over themselves. It's that whole overlap design that I really enjoy, and it's just really nice to see in action. I approve, Romero. I approve. But yeah, we're going to try our best to get through the rest of this. I'm really close to the red keycard now. But this little section here, this is another bit that can be ruined ever so slightly if you use the jump button. You'll just completely miss that entire area with the alcoves looping back over themselves, and that'd just be a damn shame, to be perfectly honest, if you missed out on that little neat piece of design. But now we've got the red key, and oh, that's a rocket launcher. We should definitely keep that. Also kill an imp, and now we can head for the final section of the stage. And I do kind of enjoy how this stage is divvied up, really. There are clear, definable sections, but they still feel like one big, cohesive whole. They actually feel like they're supposed to be part of the area itself, which is something that I have a little bit of trouble with when I try and design my own maps. I always find that when I want to add a little bit of variety in there, I end up designing areas that just feel very disconnected from everything else. Whereas that's certainly not the case here. In fact, this little area is downright fiendish. This is pretty much Romero getting out the big middle fingers and saying, alright, you've gotten through the first two parts, now deal with this shit. It's full of different elevated areas, like that little bit up there, and there's a bunch of soldiers and shotgunners patrolling up there that will absolutely ruin your day if you don't keep an eye out for them. Because these guys up close can inflict serious damage. There's a lot of right angles to contend with as well. Really great for creating ambushes on the player as well. And you just got to be very cautious. It's all trial and error, really, especially first time round playing a stage, because there are some situations that you'll run into, some ambushes that you will just never see coming, and you just got to keep a mental note of that for the next time round. I think the most frustrating thing about playing this the first few times was I'll get to ambushes like the next one, just around here, and I'd realize that I hadn't created any saves for this particular stage. And it's all the way back to the beginning. And this is not a short stage. I mean, right now I must be clocking up about, what, 9-10 minutes played in this stage so far? That's a lot of backtracking. And that's kind of what I mean when I refer to this stage as actually feeling like a final stage, like the culmination of an entire campaign. It's here to test your abilities. It's not here to just show you a new enemy. This version of Phobos Anomaly is here to kick your ass, and I appreciate it all the more for that. Granted, it will occasionally make me rage with the fury of 1,000 suns, but I'll feel all the better for it when I finally do conquer the goddamn thing. And speaking of which, we are right near the end of the stage here, and this is where things get screwy. Basically, I can just imagine Romero sat there thinking, I wonder what else I can put the player through at this point. Because we're right on the cusp of fighting the Barons, and he just had to put one final insult in the stage, didn't he? Just to make the player sweat, just to make the player work for it. So with that in mind, I'm gonna save the friggin' game, and I'm gonna show you the unholy shitstorm that is this encounter shortly before the Barrens. I don't think it's triggered yet. We're just gonna go around the corner and... Yep, here they come. This is what happens. This is what happens when you try to finish a John Romero remake stage. The hordes of hell come and tear your face off. Now, I know there is a way around this, but this isn't it. So yeah. Cheers for that, Romero. So yeah, let me show you how I deal with this instead. So rather than hanging around here and letting the collective hordes of hell tear my face off, I just skip them. I refuse to acknowledge their existence. I call it a tactical advance. So we can just skip straight ahead to the Barrens and take care of business. So this is the boss room. Again, very different from the vanilla form of Phobos Anomaly, but there's still a little bit of a visual callback here. Originally, the Barrens come out of two little coffin-type things, but those coffins seem to have been amped up into giant red glowing hell gates, so that's pretty cool too, I guess. And this area is pretty intense to get around. I'm not too sure if these cracks on the floor will actually harm me. They don't seem to be, but I'm definitely aware of all this hellspawn around here. We definitely got one Barren down. We just need to deal with the other one. It's got to be around here somewhere. We got 37 health. We got a fair amount of armor. I'm feeling okay about this one. Oh wait, the exit's open. We must have got the other one while we weren't looking. Damn. So that is Phobos Anomaly, ladies and gentlemen. We rock. Let's finish this. Oh wait, yeah. I forgot that the hordes of hell still tear your face off at the end anyway, because you have to die to go to hell, apparently. But that was Phobos Anomaly, as remade by John Romero himself. I had a tremendous amount of fun running through this and eventually completing it, and I hope you enjoyed watching my playthrough as well. The link is in the description below, as is the link to Smooth Doom as well, if you want to try that alongside this map. Feel free to let me know what you thought in the comments below, as well as any suggestions for mods you'd like to see me cover in future episodes of Doom Mod Madness. Thank you very much for watching. Icarus out.